The worst review of a book said that it was a pot boiler. Now kids, let me explain what a pot boiler is, okay? A pot boiler is something that you just write in between two successful books just to keep yourself going. And this pot boiler was such a good book, it was such a good book that it is still here 30 years later, and it is a book that children adore and that many children learn to read with, and it's Hattie and the Fox. And I thought, and you asked what my reaction was when I received this criticism. I laughed, because I knew the person who said it was an idiot.
I was appointed or not, called Academic Fool of the Month by Gerard Henderson on his weekly blog called Media Watchdog. So Gerard Henderson is a conservative political commentator in the press, in the newspapers and on television, sometimes on radio. And yes, he'd seen an extract from the book, The 80s, on a particular phase of that period. It was some of the big strikes and industrial disputes that occurred in the mid-80s. And I took a particular line on them. I thought a fairly balanced one, but he saw it as me taking the side of trade unionists against bosses, and had all sorts of criticisms of the way I dealt with that, and decided that I was Academic Fool of the Month. He also has a Media Fool of the Month most months as well, but anyway, that was my honour that particular time. I managed pretty well, really. I actually rather enjoyed the attention, to be perfectly honest. I thought, oh well, maybe people will see it and buy the book. I don't know if Eddie did, but I, sort of hope that they might.
When an editor rings up, and it's usually Lisa saying, oh, we absolutely loved it, it was wonderful, it's just, look, the ending didn't quite work, and look, I think you really need to redo the beginning, and actually probably the middle too, because we really, really love the book. Lisa is always right, and so life is a lot easier if you just assume Lisa is right and don't question it. And that is the case with a good editor. They really can tell you where a book doesn't work. Not always how to fix it, but where it doesn't work. And where a reader says something doesn't work, then you know, yes, they're right. If it didn't work for them, it's your fault. You did not do this properly. If they haven't understood, then this is your fault.
Someone within the Indigenous community said, I don't really know the community that well. Well, hello, I've only just started in my job. It felt terrible that, a person would say that to me from the same kind, same race. But you know what? I still persevered no matter. I've taken a long time, 6 years, but it's all worked out well. I have their trust. My proud moment is when I received a reconciliation award as part of the Townsville City Council. That was the proudest moment I've ever had.
Working for somebody and doing your best, and then not being told it's any use or you're any good, and being pushed to one side. And then I was only, what, 40 something, and I'd done the best I could. And we'd had results with personnel, and suddenly I'm not wanted anymore. In other words, I'd probably done what the owner wanted me to do, and then he wanted somebody else for other reasons. Because he was the owner, he was a millionaire, and I wasn't, so I had to take it. But I was upset for a long time. I decided to put it behind me and applied for a job with the United Nations and got it. And then did pretty well, so I was able to forget it. I dealt with it by doing something about it. I wanted to prove, if you like, that I was as stupid as he said I was.